All right, here we go. Let's dive right in. Fear, it's this incredible force in our lives, right? But here's the thing, it's not here to build a wall, it's here to light a path. Fear isn't here to stop you, it's here to wake you up. It's like a friend who shakes you awake in the middle of a dream, whispering, "Wake up." There's more to see, and if you let it, fear becomes this powerful signal, not of your limitations, but of your potential. You're not here to stay comfortable, you're here to grow, and that's when I realized fear wasn't the enemy. Fear was the guide. You see, fear is a flashlight, not a fog. It shines on exactly what needs your attention. It's that inner voice saying, here's where your growth is waiting. Every fear is a signpost that says, here lies your freedom. Imagine if every time you felt fear, you asked yourself, what is this fear trying to teach me? What strength am I being called to bring out here? Maybe you've been told, oh, just overcome your fear, conquer it, but I say befriend it. Because every fear carries within it the seeds of courage, the invitation to stretch and expand. It's like lifting a heavy weight the first time. It's hard, but each lift builds strength. Your spirit, just like your body, grows stronger every time you face that fear, every time you step out of your comfort zone. Think about your comfort zone for a second. It feels safe, doesn't it? Like this warm, cozy space where nothing really changes. But it's also a cage. It's a place where you never quite stretch yourself, where you're so busy staying safe that you forget to live. Imagine standing at the edge of that comfort zone. There's fear on the other side, sure, but what else is there? Freedom, growth, purpose. And isn't that worth stepping into? Here's a thought experiment for you. Close your eyes for a second and picture yourself as a child, maybe 8 or 9 years old. Remember that energy, that sense of possibility, the dreams you had. That child isn't gone, they're still within you, waiting for you to wake up and believe in your own magic. But the only way to reach them, to let that child run free again, is to face your fears, to look at each fear as an invitation to move closer to your true self. Fear is an invitation, not an obstacle. It's like a bridge between where you are and where you want to be. And yes, crossing it feels scary because it's new, it's unknown. But what if, instead of dreading that unknown, you embraced it? What if, instead of thinking, I might fail, you thought, I might grow in ways I can't even imagine right now? Let me ask you this, what's one thing you want so badly that it scares you? Maybe it's starting a new career, going after a dream, or finally being vulnerable with the people you love. That fear. It's your spirit asking you to step up, to trust that there's something on the other side worth reaching for. And isn't that a beautiful thing? Isn't it amazing that the very thing you're scared of is also the thing that could transform you? Here's a simple practice. Next time you feel fear, pause. Don't run, don't fight it. Just sit with it. Ask it, what are you here to teach me? And then listen. Because the answers are there. And when you really listen, you'll see that every single fear is just a doorway, waiting for you to step through. And you don't have to do it all at once. No one's asking you to leap into the unknown in one giant, fearless bound. Take one small step, just one, because each small step out of fear brings you closer to a life that's real, a life that's yours. Step by step, fear by fear, you'll find that you're not conquering anything. You're simply waking up to who you already are. Let's make a commitment, you and I. Let's commit to listening to our fears not as limitations, but as guides. To use every fear as a compass pointing us toward the truth, toward our truest selves. Fear isn't here to stop you, it's here to wake you up. All right, here we go. Let's get into this idea of the comfort zone. Sounds nice, doesn't it? It's cozy, it's safe, it's predictable. But here's what most of us miss: the comfort zone, as beautiful as it might seem, is not where life's magic happens. It's not where real growth, real transformation, real miracles come to life. Think about this, nothing ever grows in the comfort zone. It's a place where you stay the same, where the years pass and you feel secure, maybe even content, but deep down, you know there's something missing. Because let's face it, comfort is not the same as fulfillment. Comfort is not the same as purpose. Comfort is not the same as joy. So here's my invitation to you tonight. Step beyond the familiar, challenge yourself to move into the unknown, to that space where real magic begins. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but the unknown is scary. The unknown is uncomfortable, and you're absolutely right. Stepping beyond what you know is uncomfortable, but here's a secret: that discomfort is the birthplace of your true self. It's where you discover who you really are, beyond the labels, beyond the limits, beyond the stories you've been telling yourself for years. Imagine this with me for a moment. Think of yourself as a seed. Now, that seed might be comfortable in the soil, right? It's warm, it's protected, it's safe. But that seed was never meant to stay buried. That seed was meant to push through the soil, to break out of the darkness and stretch towards the light. And yes, that process takes effort. It takes courage. It takes a willingness to crack open, to let go of what feels safe and step into what's unknown. But only then can it grow. Only then can it become what it was always meant to be. So let me ask you this: what are you holding on to that's keeping you buried? What belief, what fear, what comfort are you clinging to that's keeping you from breaking through the soil and reaching for the sky? Here's the thing: the comfort zone is like that soil. It feels like it's protecting you, but in reality, it's limiting you. It's holding you back from reaching your fullest potential. And every time you choose comfort over growth, you're choosing to stay buried, to stay small, to stay safe. But here's the paradox: you're not actually safe, because staying in the comfort zone comes with its own risks. The risk of regret, the risk of missed opportunities, the risk of never discovering what you're truly capable of. Think about it. What would your life look like if you took that first step out of your comfort zone? I'm not talking about a giant leap, I'm talking about one small step. Maybe it's having a difficult conversation. Maybe it's signing up for that class, applying for that job, speaking your truth, going after that dream you've been putting on hold. Because here's the thing, my friends, every time you take a step beyond your comfort zone, you expand it. Every time you step into the unfamiliar, you grow stronger, more capable, more resilient. Let me give you a little example. I once knew a woman who was absolutely terrified of public speaking. The mere thought of getting on a stage made her heart race, her palms sweat. She was absolutely convinced she couldn't do it. But one day she decided to take a chance. She signed up to speak in front of a small group, just 10 people. And yes, she was terrified, but she did it. And you know what happened? The world didn't end. She didn't collapse. In fact, she felt something she hadn't felt in years alive. Alive in a way that only comes from challenging yourself, from stepping beyond what you thought was possible. Now, did that one speech make her a confident speaker overnight? No, of course not. But it planted a seed. It cracked open a door. And each time she spoke after that, her comfort zone expanded. What once terrified her eventually became a source of joy, a source of fulfillment. And that's what I want for each and every one of you. I want you to step beyond your fears, beyond your doubts, beyond that cozy little corner where nothing ever changes. Because the only thing keeping you there is the belief that it's safer, that it's easier. But deep down, you know that staying safe isn't the same as living fully. Here's a question I want you to really think about. What's one area of your life where you're playing it safe? One area where you've settled for comfort instead of reaching for growth. Maybe it's in your career. Maybe it's in your relationships. Maybe it's in the way you show up in the world. And then ask yourself, what would happen if I took one step out of my comfort zone? Because here's a powerful truth: growth and comfort do not coexist. You have to choose one or the other. And yes, it's tempting to stay comfortable, to stay in that familiar space where nothing can hurt you. But remember, this nothing grows there, not your dreams, not your potential, not the truest version of who you are. So tonight I challenge you to take one small step beyond the familiar, just one. And if you're not sure where to start, here's a simple exercise. Close your eyes and imagine the person you want to be a year from now. Picture them in vivid detail. See the confidence in their eyes, the strength in their posture, the joy radiating from their being. And now ask yourself, what would that version of me do? What risks would they take? What fears would they face? What dreams would they chase? Because that future self, that version of you who's living with purpose, with passion, with joy, that person isn't in the comfort zone. They're out there taking chances, pushing boundaries, stepping into the unknown. And guess what? That version of you is waiting for you to take that first step, to break out of the soil, to reach for the light. And remember, this magic doesn't happen in the comfort zone. Transformation doesn't happen in the comfort zone. Fulfillment doesn't happen in the comfort zone. All of these things are waiting for you on the other side, just beyond the edge of what feels safe. So go out there, my friends, challenge yourself to step beyond the familiar, because that's where the real magic begins. All right, listen closely, because what we're about to uncover could change everything. Every time you face your fear, you shrink its power. Think about that. Each step forward makes that fear a little smaller, a little weaker, and at the same time, you're amplifying your own power, growing your strength. With each step, you're rewriting the story you've been living, and you're reclaiming your ability to create a life that's limitless. So why wait to face it? Fear, it shows up in many forms. Sometimes it's this tiny whisper saying, maybe you're not ready for this. Other times it's a loud roar telling you to run back to safety. But here's the truth about fear, it's only as powerful as the power we give it. The more you face it, the smaller it becomes. So what if we started seeing fear not as a roadblock, but as an invitation to step into more? Let's take a deep look at this. Every time you stand face to face with fear, you're rewriting your life script. You're taking a pen to that old story and saying, no, I decide what happens next. You're giving yourself permission to write something new, something bold. Can you feel that possibility? Because it's right there on the other side of that fear. Now, maybe you're thinking, but I've been scared my whole life, and that's okay. We've all been there. But think of this, every single fear, no matter how deeply rooted, can be moved through. It can be moved through. It can be diminished. Remember, each time you look it in the eyes and take even one small step toward it, you're taking away a piece of its power and adding that power to your own. Here's a little thought experiment. Imagine your fear as a shadow. When you walk away from it, the shadow gets bigger and darker. But every time you move closer, it shrinks. You become the light that diminishes that shadow. Think about the power in that. You don't have to destroy your fear, you just have to walk toward it. Let's get personal for a moment. Think about a fear you have. Maybe it's the fear of failure. Maybe it's the fear of being judged, or the fear of stepping out of a life that feels too small. Whatever it is, I want you to visualize it. Picture that fear as if it's a character standing in front of you, maybe even a version of yourself. Now here's where it gets interesting. Instead of backing away, imagine taking a small step toward it. What happens? The closer you get, the less intimidating it seems. Here's a practice for you. Next time fear shows up, instead of running, take a small action right there in its presence. Let's say it's a fear of speaking up. The action could be as simple as sharing one opinion just once. With each step, you're reclaiming a little more of your power to create, to expand, to be limitless. That's what this is all about, reclaiming the power to shape your life rather than letting fear shape it for you. Now, you might say, Wayne, what if I take a step and it still feels terrifying? And that's real. But what I've learned is that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the willingness to act in spite of it. It's about telling yourself, yes, I'm scared, and yes, I'm moving forward anyway. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. It's a declaration to the universe that you're ready to live a life of choice, not of limitation. Imagine this for a second. You're standing at a crossroads with one path that feels safe and another that feels uncertain, even a bit frightening. That second path, that's where your power lies. Why? Because it's where growth happens. It's where you tap into parts of yourself that have been waiting to be awakened. See, you're not just facing fear, you're meeting the person you're meant to become. Each step forward is a conversation with that higher version of yourself saying, I'm ready to meet you. Have you ever noticed how the things we're most scared of are often the very things we're drawn to? Think about it. There's a reason for that. Fear points us to what's meaningful, to what's real. So often fear shows up because it knows that on the other side we're about to grow, to expand, to break free from the small stories we've been telling ourselves. And when you break free from those stories, you discover something amazing you've been the author all along. Let me tell you a story. Imagine a woman who's always wanted to start her own business, but fear keeps telling her, you don't know enough. You're not ready, but one day she decides to take one small step. Maybe she enrolls in a class or reaches out to someone in the field, and with that one action, she starts shrinking that fear. Suddenly, she's not just dreaming, she's doing, and with each step, she's reclaiming her story. That's how it works. Every small step forward takes back a piece of your power and leaves a little less for fear to hold. Let's get practical here. If you've got a fear, pick one small action that brings you closer to it. If it's the fear of speaking up, maybe it's starting with just one conversation. If it's the fear of trying something new, start with just 1 hour of practice. Step by step, you're telling that fear, you don't own me. You're proving to yourself that you're stronger than anything that could hold you back. And here's a final thought to carry with you each time you face your fear. Each time you take that step forward, you're not just creating a moment, you're creating a life. A life of possibility. A life that's yours. Thanks for joining me today. If you found value in this discussion, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more motivational content. Share your thoughts in the comments below.